nature is speaking to us right now, and we are not prepared as a human race. We are not prepared for this type of situation. And we're going to look at another story where we see where the shoe dropped, and we're rallying to try to save people where there was no early warning system in place to just move the people. So now we're looking at a situation of recovery, devastation. They're going to need international aid coming in. And in addition to everything else with the wars and the lack of resources, the lack of trade, commerce, and everything else, now we have to deal with it now, another disaster. Unfortunately, this is not going to be the last of these type of situation this year. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to start talking and communicating and sharing information. Earthquakes are moving. Venezuela. Now it's Colombia. What's next? Is coming. The earth is shaping. The earth is moving. The earth is readjusting. So we should know, our scientists should know in advance that these things are happening. We shouldn't have to wake up in the morning and find 2,000 people dead. That should not be the situation, but it's continued to happen. We can continue to go through these disasters, these I call unnecessary loss of lives,
Right.
because we are trying to save a penny, make a dollar, save a penny, make a dollar, and we're not focusing on the environment we have, where we live, what we do with people, the infrastructures are not prepared for this. Uh, that is where we're at. We have not prepared our infrastructures to withstand the tours and the rigors of Mother Nature. We know when we put people in these areas that they are risk born, but we do not have things in place. So now it looks like, you know, come help me. And right now, who's out there to do it? Because it's in Venezuela, Colombia. Who's next tomorrow? It's not the end. So we have to hold on and be prepared for these type of natural disasters, and hopefully some good minds will come together and say, "Hey, we need to stop this craziness and collectively unify and deal and address with this thing, because this is mankind, not just the people over there, the people over here. It could happen in your neighborhood, our neighborhood next. So what we're doing now."
Really a very interesting line of topics that we open international affairs today. Excellent statements from Norman Floyd Barnes. Especially we see some of the details that are coming out from Colombia as well as Venezuela, with both being reported. Loss of life still remains very high. Just to provide a contrast of how many of these earthquakes we have seen this year. As of today, there have been 10 earthquakes of magnitude 7.0 or greater recorded worldwide by the USGS Earthquake Hazards Program for this very year. And turning to the studio with Associate Professor Rashid Alam Bhuiya, you were hearing Norman Floyd Barnes, and we usually talk about geopolitics in general, but this is what the centric has become, and it is a great threat, I believe, to mankind. Just to get a comment from you, the new president of Colombia is increasingly right-wing, and the U.S. is committing $15.5 million for Colombia for the shelter, food protection, and earthquake assessments. How are you seeing this kind of relations?
Thank you. So after the Venezuelan earthquake, we had a severe, strong earthquake in Japan, and now it's in Colombia. So within a month, I think this thing happened.
Right.
So this is a, big sign that world, the environmental and climatic disaster. A study you said about you showed about the flooding and erratic rainfall issues. So I think world is continuously we have facing these insecurity issues from the non-traditional threats like this environmental and climatic hazard. But unfortunately the world is not preparing for this non-traditional security threats. We are mostly preparing the traditional security threats. We are mostly investing in like a stockpile of arms and ammunition and jet fighters, but we do not have that much of resources to face this kind of consequences. We do not have that much of ability, even our country. we do not have that much of resources if something 7-point magnitude earthquake hit us. So I think that's another. And from the theological perspective, when we the religion says when you forgot your God, these things remind you that there's something invisible which is controlling the world. So that's another theological standpoint. But my focus is, as a humankind, from material perspective, you have to prepare for this kind of consequences, investing more and more resources to cope up with this situation, like evacuation, resettlement, rehabilitation of this kind of people. You know, the Venezuelan earthquake is still suffered. They are still under the
rubble, and the death toll is still rising, 6,300
so
plus.
Still, more than 50,000 is missing. So we do not have that much of ability to cope with this kind of catastrophe. So I think world must think about that. We should, rather than more, border security, rather than more a stockpile of munition and arms, you should think about this, how to face with this existential threat of environmental and climate shocks, and more an investment for this preparation of this kind of emergency situation.
Of course, excellent remarks coming from Rashad Alam Bhuiya. Just to end off here, another question towards Norman Floyd Barnes. Just to sum up, and before we go on for a break, get your remarks on the U.S. position. As I read out, that U.S. is coming with assistance of $15.5 million, according to the State Department, and is also actively assisting American tourists, according to the embassy in Bogota, Colombia. How do you believe that diplomatic ties will now have a regeneration, especially because the last president, Gustavo Petro, was increasingly not seeing eye to eye with the U.S. administration? Norman.
I see much of the same. Nothing's changed. We just have a change of hats. We got a new face. There is a way. There will find a way to have some type of controversy with that region. For some reason, South America, Central America, the global South is not doing what it's supposed to be doing in terms of our current administration. So as a consequence, we are denying our resources, our help, our services, and when we do, we are slow, and we provide conditions to that which they can't fulfill. So for some reason, we shouldn't expect anything different from what's going on. I don't think we're going to go over there and provide all our resources to there to try to help and save them, because honestly, there's no financial gain. There's no benefit right now in terms of monetary. We are transitional administration, and unless there's something directly impact for them, for the administration, our administration, we tend to be very a step behind, slow, a little bit slow and hesitant. Yes, we would do the honorable things like, yeah, we provide assistance and help and funding and money, but they need help. They need help with the infrastructure. They need to get the people out. The people are going to need a lot of the issue now. The earthquake is went, but now the way the earth is moving, there will be aftershocks, and the aftershocks may be more impactful than the initial earthquake.
Of course.
We don't know what's going on. They have a fragile infrastructure, so it will have more grave impacts on it. And as long as it takes for the support and aid to get in there, people will die from lack of resources, and that's the biggest right now. The initial impact, yes, but now we're going to look at the numbers starting to total up. There's another note I want to bring up to you. I don't know, we talk about it, but we got a outbreak of Ebola again.
Ebola, right?
Yeah, just to add, like the amount of money. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's 2,000, and the numbers are going up. It started out slow, a couple thousand. Now the numbers increasing. The numbers increasing because they don't have the resources. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the medicine. They don't have the know-how. They don't have the communication. And the world, what is the world doing? We have World Health. Where are they at? NATO, where are you at? The superpowers, where are you at? These things should have been addressed, but we keep putting a patch on top and keep moving forward, and they come back and they manifold until we address the real issue. So
Right.
it's ironic that it's hitting in the Congo again. It's very ironic that that's coming up again. So I'm very suspect the nature and the cause of this stuff, just like the wildfires. These
Right.
things. The timing is impeccable right now. Things are happening. The timing right now, as we get towards our coming to our fall and our election and other issues with the war, you're noticing these natural disasters start to flare up, and now this is a distraction from the issue we're dealing with in the Middle East.
Right. Excellent statements once again from Norman Floyd Barnes. Really, as we move on to a break, let me just give you the on-field dynamics. 5 capital cities across Colombia are in a red alert. 86 buildings have collapsed and 7 airports have suspended operations, according to the Colombian Association of Capital Cities. And also, in remnants of a tragic event that happened 25 years ago, Colombia bears remnants of this very earthquake in a 1999 earthquake, which left almost 1,200 people dead. So this is just very sad to recall a part of history has repeated itself and taken the lives of many. With that being stated, it's time to take a very short commercial break. Afterwards, we look at how the tragic issues of munitions stockpile is going down, depleting all over the world. I requested my audience to stay for more on this very program.
Presidency of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with 2 types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Panta.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them.
Testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
they will face better projects.
With Presidency of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with 2 types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. Welcoming our viewers back on International Affairs. We are joined in the studio with Associate Professor Rashid Alambuya, as well as Norman Floyd Barnes across Zoom, all the way from Washington, District of Columbia. We were definitely talking about the country called Colombia, so the earthquake and the recap. However, I want to take a different take about the world issue right now. U.S. President Donald Trump is stating that he's going to, or White House has called this the Operation Economic Fury, turning to a more colder style, colder pattern of offensive against Iran. Really, it is more of a pressure to deplete Iran and to continue to sanction its power. However, last 50 years of that same mechanism had not bared any fruit. Iran still developed anyway. So I want to pass it to Norman Floyd Barnes. Secretary Scott Bessent is calling this the component of a financial equivalent of a bombing campaign. So in economic terms as well. I would just want to pass it to you. There are also news that the Pentagon as well as the U.S. military are having a shortage of munitions at this very point. How are you analyzing this kind of events, Norman?
Once again, this is very predictable behavior. We know we are our countries are in a situation where we don't have an exit plan. Once again, we got ourselves into a situation, and now we're trying to find an out, hopefully an honorable out. Iran have shown the world that they have staying power, which translated mean I stood against the best, supposedly the world, the most powerful nation, and I'm still standing. So what do that tell you about the most powerful nation? Who is in control? There's conversations about ending this conflict. There's conversations in the region with Oman. They're close to having a deal about accessing and controlling this strait. The United States government and its allies are trying to understand how they can continue to maintain their standards and their way of life, and at the same time have an honorable exit. Apparently, there is not going to be that because we have things that we want done, and Iran and now that region has certain demands upon the United States and Israel. Israel has demands that they will not concede to. We have demands that we don't want to concede to. Iran has demand which they say we're not going to move. We're not going to change unless these things happen. A, B,
Right.
C, and D. These things have to happen. So we are content on waiting another 40 years. We can wait it out because they have done 40 years
Right.
already. They can do another 40 years and watch you sweat. Right now, our gas reserves, they report is the lowest. I think it's under 300 million gallons. It's dropped down on that. There's conversations about our military munitions being low. All these conversations are going on, and at the same time, no one has come up with a solution to deal with this. The price is going up. I mentioned the other day, we may hit $6. I think we're going to hit it before the midterms, the way things are going, unless something drastically happens. Everybody right now is holding their fort. They are holding their ground. They're basically using pride right now. Pride is right now is killing us all because people don't want to concede. There has to be a concession somewhere. No one is going to get everything they want. No one. It's not going to happen. Even if you win the day, you're not going to win. You may win the battle, but you're not going to win the war. The military option, we found that that's not going to work because we want a quick answer, and a quick answer is not going to work with Iran in that region.
Right.
Lebanon,
Right.
we got issues there. Gaza, we're trying to figure what's going on. People still being killed in Gaza, and Gaza has been flattened. They've been totally flattened, annihilated. It has to be rebuilt. The issue with Ukraine and Russia. Russia has now got another 50,000 troops from North Korea using mercenary troops. So they are ready for this endless war. So the point is, how much is people going to be able to tolerate? This is going to continue. And even though we're fighting, the people are suffering. The war is against the people. The people are suffering on this. Our administrators are basically driving the truck, they're driving the thing. Yeah, we can do it, we can do this and that. And they are insulated. They can absorb the hit. But the communities, Bangladesh, everybody cannot afford it. We do not have the means, do not have the money, do not have the resources. They have to get the resources. If not, there are going to be other issues that come up, and the issues are not going to be very good for the world. when people get desperate, they do desperate things. So
Right.
let's hope and pray that our leaders, our elected, appointed leaders, come to terms and understand that, hey, what we're doing is not working. We have to get to something. If we want to get back or move forward, the issue is now, how do we move forward? We're not going to be able to go back. It's evident now. Nothing is going to be pre 2026. We're not going to get any of that back. The prices now, if they level off, we're lucky, but they're going to raise. So we're not going to see a $3 gas thing here anymore. Them days are over. So we have to figure out a way how we're going to coexist or we're going to not exist. That's what's happening. And the people are suffering. Again, we got weather issues, got flood issues, we got people issues, we got money issues. So right now, enough is enough, and our elected officials apparently don't understand they lived in another world. I mean, I'm going to use a term. I'm going to go back to it.
Please.
Harriet Tubman. Back in she was the conductor, what we call, of the Underground Railroad, the slaves. So you remember the story about the slaves being moved?
Right.
And one of the things she said, man, she lived to be a long age, and she said, and asked her question, do you regret anything? Do you remember anything? She said, yes. She said, I would have freed 100,000 more people if the people knew what was going on. Meaning, if I'm trying to convince people who was enslaved that there was slaves, they did not believe there were slaves. They did not believe. So they did not go. They turn in. So what I'm saying is basically we got to understand that we're not controlling this situation. We may try to know what's going on. We're just meddling along what's going on. Things are going to happen. They're going to be out of our control. We got to understand who we are. We are not controlling this. We want to. We're not going to control this. So we got to figure out that Mother Nature, things are going to happen, things are going to evolve, things are going to change. You can't maintain and retain and understand. You're not who you think you are. You're not. And nature going to show you things are going to happen.
Of course, really excellent use of examples coming from Norman Floyd Barnes, stating one of illumination to know what is really going on, and that is a very centuries-old theory keeps coming up every now and then. As we understand where we left off regarding the Middle Eastern situation, I want to focus regarding this very issue with Associate Professor Rashid Alam Bhuiya. You see, because of the straits coming under strain, a nation like Saudi Arabia has to push back all of its vessels towards Africa, touching the Cape of Good Hope, adding 20 or so more days. This has gone to the economic plateau, as I see it, across many issues as well. There are updates from the Ukraine-Russia war. Zelensky is blaming Russia of importing troops from North Korea, importing missiles and rockets from North Korea, amidst the talk that we had just upon the munitions depletion or lack of munitions worldwide. It's not just U.S. That we can recall. How you see these developments? People want to wage war, but there is a munitions shortage. Really, once again, we must assess the resources that humans have. How do you see it?
Yes, I think the global scale of this war is like we can see like when North Korea is involved in this war by supplying munition to the Russian forces. So like this is actually, I mean, give a signal that this war is become a world war, or it can turn over into world scale of war. So that is one symptom that this thing's is not stopping here. Good thing is like the munition shortage is a good thing, unless, I mean, as Norman pointed out, like Iran has some unnegotiable point, USA have some unnegotiable point, Netanyahu and Israelis have some unnegotiable point. So the result of this is war. So with that context, it's a good thing that the world communities are saying that, okay, munition of shortage is a very good sign for us, because unless you do not have the agreement, unless you do not have the agreement to stop this madness, stop this global scale of war, So rare earth materials and the shortage of rare earth materials and those munition stockpile has shortage is a good sign for the global community. They can at least they have some sort of relief from this madness of war that is turning it. And as you said, the oil prices, gas prices, shortage of fertilizers, everything is escalating, and we are also facing these catastrophic climatic events which also causes lots of crop losses, lots of food shortage in the world scale. So I don't know, the global community have learned nothing from the pandemic in 2020s and 2021 where lots of people died, and we should have invested more on this, like fighting with these non-traditional security issues, more and more investment for the vaccination, for the fighting with the climatic catastrophe, CO2, less CO2 emission, but we went totally opposite direction. We invested lots of money for unnecessary war, unnecessary this kind of madness in a world scale level. So I think this munition shortage, at least a good hope for the global leaders, at least they can understand why we are waging this war, what we're going to achieve from this war. They should have actually think about it, and we need this credible leadership, particularly USA citizens. They deserve better leadership, what they're having at the moment.
Definitely.
I mean, everybody is suffering, you know.
Not just that, as you mentioned, everyone's suffering. The White House is in denial. Donald Trump is categorically rejecting claims of this munition deficit, stating on social media that the US possesses massive amounts of munitions and warning that individuals leaking details about reserve levels could face long-term jail sentences. On the other hand, Pentagon memo says behind the public denials, they have taken aggressive steps to ramp up manufacturing. Deputy Defense Secretary Steve Feinberg issued a memo giving defense contractors a strict 3-week deadline to submit plans for significantly faster delivery schedules and expanded production capacity. Just to add on how you see this.
So as you said, like when I mean, US, some state was saying that Donald Trump is curbing the Medicare health facilities for the people.
Yes.
He has no money for the continuing this health care welfare issues
for
the American people, but he have money for this munition.
USAID, the example that you were using.
USA, and he reduced money for the USA. He reduced US committed money for the UN operation of the emergencies. But he have money for this war. He have money for this munition and stockpile. So I think US Congress need to step up, and I think everybody is looking into this midterm elections where we'll expect that the American boys themselves against this madness. They need better leadership, and the world also need better leadership, because USA has a lot of responsibility. They created this kind of institution like UN, Bretton Woods institution, IMF, World Bank, WTO. WTO was, I mean, famous for liberalizing the trade. But Trump taken us to the opposite direction.
Calling it illegal.
Yeah, he imposed tariffs unilaterally on the global scale. So I think this, after the Second World War, what development takes place under the leadership of USA need to be taken up with credible leadership under the midterm election. That's the point. Otherwise, we will see much more catastrophe in the world scale in the coming days.
Of course. Excellent statements by Rashid Alambuya. That was excellent in summing up the worldwide global position, of course, of various leaders and how they are looking forward to more war than to support programs such as the US aid. Also, they have served in here in Bangladesh in various programs as well, just to add on to their significance. It's time to take a short commercial break. Do stay tuned for more on this very program. Only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement.
They will face better projects.
with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that welcoming back our viewers on International Affairs. We were, of course, in discussion of much of the worldwide politics as well as natural calamities that have caused tremendous loss of life, tremendous loss of infrastructure from around the globe, 10 earthquakes, as well as how we've seen it cause damage. But now we must focus on an issue that is still very underreported, but we should really focus on how to protect the youth of our nation here in Bangladesh. I am sitting across a professor, associate professor of Dhaka University. I want to discuss with you the latest secondary school certificate exam results, equivalent, of course, 11 education boards in Bangladesh were recently published yesterday, and overall nationwide pass rate stands at 62%, passing with 100,000 students achieving a GPA 5. However, the scarier metric is over 690,000 students were seen to fail this kind of examinations, SSC. Passing it to you, how you see it as an educator, what should they do? What are the preparation boards doing incorrect that they have such a large number? We see that only 62% of the population passes. The remaining amount is a huge number as well. With that being added, many nations across the globe, Australia as well as UK, have imposed midnight bans on social media only for the benefit of those who are young and ripe, so that they understand education, understand the morale of why they should be illuminated. Passing it on to you, how you see it.
Yeah, as you rightly pointed out, this is the real scenario of our education in the last 2 decades, when we say the earlier governments give lots of flexibility in terms of evaluating the script, marking, which didn't give us a real picture. So this result give us a real picture that our education and quality education is still very much minimal. I know the government investment for the education, particularly the schools, colleges, is very minimal. You still do not have a teaching assistant in the most of the schools. Still, many schools doesn't have the required number of teachers, like more than 500,000 teacher shortages in various schools. So 1 or 2 teachers is taking care of the whole school. So this will not give you a good result.
Right.
Absolutely. So that's why we were spending much money for the bureaucratic expansion. We don't need that bureaucratic expansion in the country. We need much more money for the quality education. And as you said, like the youngsters who are now more reluctant for the quality education, they're more attracted by the social media. They're investing more and more time for the technologies and devices. So we need to reduce those device uses, and as you said, the correct laws, correct legislation, like the countries UK, Australia, they already introduced. So we should have the midnight ban on the social media, and also reducing the devices time for particularly the young children under 16 years of age. That is very important. And also we need to invest more and more on like the technical education. Like as I said, this is overly stated, like although these youngsters who passed in the secondary school examination and then go for higher secondary school examination, then go for higher education, we need to reduce that number. In the developed countries, only 10% of the students go for higher education. So that's the real scenario. You need to divert these youngsters to the technical education and the education or skill that global community is needed, where you can export their skills and they can earn money. Now you producing lots of educated unemployed labor, educated unemployed people. That doesn't add anything in your economy, rather create a burden for a whole economy. So I think this result gives us a sign and where you should invest, which way you should go, and which way you can recover from this situation, I think.
Of course, excellent remarks. Actually, maybe this result this time around, maybe upholding the real picture, as we've seen in the last 17 years or so. There used to be a gossip that everyone passes, no one fails. So strategically, this time around, it is more clear where we have to work towards building our education here in Bangladesh. I thank Associate Professor Rashid Alam Bhuiya, for your insights, for taking the trouble to come all the way here. As well, I thank Norman Floyd Barnes, all the way from Washington, District of Columbia. I want to end on a reminder that the world has been going through tragic weather events. Right now, it will not make any kind of announcement. Last night, we have seen severe water clogging in parts of the capital city here in Dhaka. I wish everyone well and for everyone to be cautious of their surroundings. With that being stated, I am signing off on International Affairs.